Yo, what's going on, everybody? It's your boy Naruto Explain here, bringing you guys another Boruto 2 Blue Vortex discussion. Today, I want to talk to you guys about this latest development that we had in Boruto 2 Blue Vortex Chapter 15 and why we need to have a serious discussion about why Boruto teaming up with Kawaki has way more risk to it than you might have given serious consideration to, which is why in today's newest Naruto Explain video, we're going to discuss what I believe is the biggest red flag of Boruto teaming up with Kawaki and why this is seemingly going to be a happy ending with the two Uzumaki siblings that is going to unravel everything that Kashin Koji has been attempting to set up into the story, and how all of this is playing into what Kashin Koji described as Boruto's being the worst possible outcome, because this is a marriage between these two, Boruto and Kawaki, that is destined for failure. As a quick reminder, the chapter review, it is up on the channel, so check that out if you haven't already. The editor put a lot of love into that review. I'll leave that linked in the end credits of this video. So jumping right into it, I think we all can agree that the chapter 15 moment where it was teasing the first team up of Boruto and Kawaki in the manga for the first time in 3 years, both in universe as well as in real life, since it's been 3 years since they fought against Code. It was a really big deal and it got the fandom hype. Boruto could have gone anywhere after escaping from Konoha, and what is confirmed awaiting death, and any of the Konoha shinobi participating in the manhunt were to find him, they would attempt to kill him. Yet Boruto chose to wait patiently at the top of the Hokage monument on Naruto's Hokage head, specifically so he could speak to Kawaki and offer the olive branch to him in order to team up against their common enemy Jura. In a way, it makes a ton of sense. It makes sense that Kawaki would be the one who Boruto was going to go to get to be his first real enemy from Konoha that would ultimately turn into an ally to assist him against Jura. Jura has been built up as this monster threat from his debut, with just a few subtle things done to his character which go a long way, like showing him flying above the battlefield while Boruto was struggling in a 3 versus 1 against the awakened Shinju, and one of them hadn't even begun to fight, so much as she took the time to hurl some much needed insults at Code, which cut so deeply one might even say Matsuri broke the fourth wall when she was tearing down Code and was speaking to the audience herself. Yet Jura was shown above all of them to showcase a few things from a narrative perspective and more than just the imagery itself. He has shown that he was above everyone on the battlefield because he was the strongest one there, and it wasn't even close. Nobody came anywhere near him. He was shown above everyone because there was no need to lower himself into a petty squabble that could have been handled by those Shinju he views as below him that were battling Boruto, and they had him on the defensive. He was shown above everyone there because he was the first Shinju who we saw didn't give in to their instincts right away to engage with Boruto. Whereas the others, they made their presence known and they attacked shortly afterwards. He was the one who had the intellect to hover over in the air and watch everything unfold patiently before making his presence known to Boruto, because he understood knowledge is the purest form of power itself. He was shown hovering above everyone on the battlefield to signify that he was the true monster, the true apex predator that everyone needed to be focused on. He barely spoke a word, yet everyone knew that this guy was clearly the leader of the Shinju without the role being verbally given to him at this point in the story. He had the aura of a true final boss that caused the eyes of everyone to gravitate towards him. That is how you introduce a character, as well as build them up in the long run before they get confirmed in the narrative as being the true danger, which is exactly what Ikimoto successfully did before confirming in chapter 13 that Jura was the leader of the awakened Shinju and the one who should be viewed as the most dangerous. When it was stated that he would be the one who kills Boruto, there was nobody in the community who ever doubted his words, because of the effective storytelling drops that left breadcrumbs that built up to that moment before it was ever stated. And for the first time since the duo of Jigen and then Isshiki, we now have had a credible threat that everyone has wondered, how is this person going to be taken down? That is what makes Boruto reaching out to Code for help in that moment in chapter 4 work so well. It showed how dire the situation was back then. And then later on, in hindsight, in chapter 13, when we see Boruto get informed of how strong Jura was and how drastically Boruto was able to power up, that despite all of that, he was still finding it in his best interest to beg Code for help because he was in danger of being consumed. He couldn't find help in Code, but he ultimately found help in the form of Kawaki, and that's why I think most of us would agree, yes, there's a massive payoff to this whole scenario, Boruto asking Kawaki for help and for Kawaki agreeing to help him. There's payoff there. We agree there. The first enemy who helped him ended up being his brother. The first enemy who helped him wasn't necessarily an enemy in the sense that Kawaki isn't the ops per se, but he is someone who wants to kill him, but not for an unjustified reason. His reasoning is one that Boruto understands better than some of Boruto's own fans will care to admit when it comes to the logic behind it. Family has come to Boruto's aid in this scenario, while they each stood on Naruto's Hokage monument head, being linked, both of them together by the same man who means so much to them. Naruto was Boruto's blood father, and Boruto is the continuation of Naruto's legacy in both the real world as well as in universe. Kawaki is Naruto's adopted son and the child who Naruto is trying to steer out the darkness and show love to, for a child who has never known a father's touch. Even with Naruto being dead to the world and sealed away into another dimension, he was bringing these two boys together. That's why Ikimoto having both of them together on Naruto's Hokage monument head makes so much sense symbolically. It feels like this is going to go towards a true storybook ending, yet the truth is that this is exactly why their alliance, it is a mistake and it is destined to fail, and it's why I'm all for it. Boruto understands what it is as at stake, but he also understands the role that Naruto's Will of Fire had to play when it came with dealing with a threat like Jura. It is needed. It is mandatory. Kawaki, on the other hand, he does not understand the role that Naruto's Will of Fire has to play with dealing with Jura, despite spending the last 3 years pretending to be Naruto's son and having been Naruto's direct student before he sealed him away. Both Boruto and Kawaki should each be on the same page, yet despite them agreeing to work together, they aren't truly on the same page, more like they're on two different pages, but they're part of the same chapter in the same book. But it's something that is close, but it's not the same thing as what you would ideally want. Boruto, being the wonder kid genius that he is, he understands in order to deal with a threat like Jura, they're going to have to be on the same page, and they're going to have to take a page out of Naruto's book and deal with that threat united. Boruto has been told of how the future turns out in dozens of possible scenarios, and there's one common theme that occurs in every single one of them. Boruto and Kawaki each try to go at it alone against Jura, Code, or Isshiki. They were never truly united. The story is spoon-feeding it to us at this point, and I believe there's a strong case to be made. This alliance is gonna fall apart. Boruto and Kawaki are destined to split. In the scenarios where Isshiki won, what exactly happened? Barrel Mode Naruto fought Isshiki alone and he was killed, which that made sense at that moment in time where there was nobody powerful enough to stand against Isshiki. He still had 24 hours left before his body would destroy itself. So when Naruto died, Kawaki didn't even attempt to fight back. We know based on how his character was in part 1, the moment that Isshiki clapped Naruto and sent him to meet Minato and Kushina in the afterlife, Kawaki likely gave up his will to live and allowed himself to have a karma seal placed onto him by Isshiki. There was no trusting in Sasuke or Boruto, not like we saw where Kawaki followed Sasuke's orders in the original timeline because Naruto was still alive. Kawaki still had hope in that moment. It was, I'll just give up and I'll accept defeat, which resulted in Isshiki being reborn and a chakra fruit being harvested eventually. In the scenarios where Code won, what exactly happened? Kawaki escaped Konoha and managed to survive and was easily defeated by Code in what we can assume was that battle that took place 1 year later in the timeline where Boruto and Sasuke versus Code happened. Code easily took down Kawaki. In another possible timeline, that never came to actually pass. Kawaki kills Boruto and Sarada, he escapes, and then he gets captured by Code. The thing that both of those possible futures have in common for Kawaki is that Kawaki tried to go at his problems alone, and he got defeated. In the scenarios where Boruto was defeated by Jura, while Kashi and Koji didn't go into extreme detail about them, we can presume a common theme also occurred here. Boruto is wanted by the entire ninja world for the death of Naruto, and despite learning jutsu like the Uzahiko and Purple Lightning and the Flying Raijin and God knows what else Boruto has up his sleeves, and nearly every possible future Kashin Koji saw, Boruto failed and he was killed by Jura. Boruto tried to go at it alone and he suffered the same fate. Boruto, being the second coming of Minato, knows that in order to truly survive this next encounter, it's going to require them not only working together, but also working with others, which for as much as that will piss people off, that is a common theme in Naruto. Jura isn't just a threat to he and Kawaki. Jura is a threat to the entire ninja world itself. Even more so now that he has openly shown interest in wanting to consume a chakra fruit for himself, which is going to come with a monster power boost given all the genetic material that he will have inside of this next chakra fruit. That's where there's going to be a divide here. Boruto isn't going to want it to just be him or Kawaki in this looming battle against Jura and his growing army of Shinju. He's going to want people he left behind in Konoha to assist them, particularly people like Sarada and Mitsuki, and that's where there's going to be issues. And that's why I don't think enough focus has been placed onto it by the community itself. So Kawaki has always viewed things in a matter-of-fact way. Power is directly correlated with leadership. Jigen was the strongest car inner, so Jigen was the leader. When there are people that threatened to usurp Jigen's role as leader because they were stronger, Jigen had them terminated. Or in the case of Code, he had limiters placed on him. Naruto lost Kurama's power and was no longer arguably the strongest Konoha shinobi. Kawaki openly began questioning whether or not the way of the shinobi was the correct path for them to go down. Something he didn't do when Naruto was still the strongest. There's a direct correlation there. And even when Kawaki reawakened his karma seal, he felt emboldened enough to go right into Naruto's house, tell this man to sit down at his own dinner table, then look him right in the eyes and say he's gonna kill his son again. And this time he says he's gonna make sure he stays dead. And then he proceeds to seal Naruto away. Power is the only thing that Kawaki truly understands. And the strongest is the one who is most fitting to call the shots in Kawaki's eyes. Only the strong are able to have a say in how the future unfolds and how it shall be shaped, which is why his ideology of shinobi being destined to die early is only going to be further shaped if Boruto attempts to bring in others like Sarada, Mitsuki, and Himawari. They're each very strong. But Boruto and Kawaki, based on what we've seen, they are in different classes unto themselves, and that hasn't been lost on someone like Kawaki. His behavior basically dictates this as something that's going to cause him to implode. A true son of Naruto understands that even those who don't have the monster power, they offer something that can be used of assistance in battles ahead, and that it's okay to be the sword and the shield for others, so long as the people you serve as a sword and shield for are supporting you. You cannot go it alone, otherwise you will eventually fall. And that's where the other versions of Boruto and Kawaki failed at. Boruto, he's trying to avoid making that mistake, and it likely means bringing in others Kawaki will see no value in. What happens when you put two cooks in the kitchen to cook together and each have different philosophies on what it is that makes a good dish? Say one cook cares more for flavoring and leaving the meat just juicy enough and well cooked enough that it breaks apart off of the bone, and the other believes that texture and taste of the food matters less than the appearance of the food itself, i.e. how it's presented on the dish. Boruto is offering power through unity, versus Kawaki is likely to offer power through sheer force and control. These two, they might end up working together, and they might work together for a significant period of time, but I believe they stand a chance at clashing due to their strong will. And given that it is implied that Kashin Koji was going to suggest to Boruto to kill Kawaki, which Boruto sees where the conversation is going in chapter 13 and directly cuts him off by saying he refuses to kill Kawaki if it ever came to it, there stands a chance that Kashin Koji has seen something that suggests Boruto and Kawaki are not the match made in heaven that a lot of fans might think that they are. I don't think that this is a matter of if they fail and if their alliance breaks apart. I think that this is a matter of when it happens. Assuming Kawaki doesn't fully swallow his pride once he's unlocked his true power, because Right now, he's the weaker of the two between himself and Boruto, but with Kawaki's ideology he's shown in the past, it shows us that he is more likely to assert his authority when he's the one who can be viewed as the strongest, or he can challenge for the title the strongest. And given that he is the one who can control his Chroma Seal and Boruto cannot, I think there is likely trouble in paradise coming faster than you can click on the Boruto chapter review on the left if you've not seen it already, or this anime explained video on the right from my other anime channel where I discuss non-Naruto content.